Hello, all, and welcome to the weekly podcast. I'm your host, Gurtej Atwal. I have my co host, Harpreet Gariwal, with me.
Thank you, Guptesh, for having me again. Yeah, so we are back again with you guys to talk about some new topic, which we are going to present you shortly now. Let's talk about the new topic which we have about the farmers, because we everybody talks about farmers bill we just recently talked about. So yeah, we'll go over all those topics for the farmers and what the bills are and all those basic things.
Yeah, no, thank you, Harpreet. So, why we are here again to talk about the farmers' bill? Because we all know there were some bills that was passed in India. So, but they were repealed now, but still we have to find why those issues came up, why so hastily the government passed those bills, what are the grassroots issues for the farmers. So we can see here like how many farmers are involved in India from the whole population. 16% of the GDP that depends on farming as compared to the other countries. Because farmers are very important in India because majority of our population that is in farming. 41% of India's workforce that involves directly or indirectly in farming. So as compared to we can see in China where only 7.1% is involved, in Brazil only 4.4%, in US only 0.9% of population that is involved in farming.
Yeah,
So that is why when those bills were brought in, there was no direct communication or direct negotiation, information sharing with the farming community. That's why there was a resistance from the farming community because so many farmers they are involved in farming. Their say has to be taken in by creating any kind of regulation for them. So 1.3 billion population, that is more than half of India's population that is involved in farming. So many people livelihood depends on it.
exactly. So yeah, as you said, like most of the peoples are like Indian. If you talk about India, they are dependent upon agriculture. Like that's the basic thing which they do for the basic survival. And if you talk about those, like they all oppose the bills. Max of those people who are in the agriculture, they are doing the farmers or all those things. They oppose the bills. Even if you see the graph, they are like 67.10% is the marginal farmer, which who owns less than a hectare of land. So like that's the most big number. If you can say those has very less, like less than a hectare of a land, but still they want to get involved because that's the only source of income they have. And if they have those laws, I don't know where they're going to land up with those things, because if this basic resource for the earning is gone, I don't know how they're going to survive. And that's what the government did. I don't know why they could get involved in those things even without concerning the farmers or the agriculture ministers and all those things. They are not even involved on those to get into the picture, and then the bills were made for them. The if you see all the ratios for these things, like 70.9% are small farmers, and the peoples who have like very large number of the field or the farmers, who they are like 0.70%. Like this is like very less number, but still everybody in that in the form, they got involved in this and they want those bills to get taken back. But glad we got them back, we pushed them back, but still, as you said, Gutej, we don't know what's all those things were. They can come back, they can talk about more things. We need to know all those about why they happen and what people want out of all those things.
Right. So now, if we see what kinds of real issues are with the farmers, so these are not made up issues. So farmers do not have the good quality seed. So they have the substandard seed, they grow those seed, but they do not get that kind of production that is happening in other parts of the world. So lack of modern equipment. So we all can see that majority of the farming, it depends on human labor. So we don't have right kind of equipment which can be used to save that kind of manpower so that we can reduce the amount of spending that is happening on the farming. So agriculture land holdings are very small. So we have small land holding farmers. Those are in huge number as compared to the large farmers or the big farmers, so that they cannot afford, those small farmers cannot afford that kind of big equipment, they cannot afford that kind of science and technology that should be used in farming. So inadequate storage facilities, we do not have that kind of good storage facilities. We always see whenever there is a crop, it goes to the mandi system. If it rains, that crop gets damaged.
Point.
There is
Yeah.
no good storage facility where to store if there is a rain coming or there is some kind of natural calamity coming. So there is no good facility to store those manufactured product.
Yep.
So poor irrigation facilities are not that good too. We still see that we are all dependent on the rains. There is no good canal system. There is no good irrigation system. The water that is pumping out, so that is going very low and low. So there has to be a thought process from the government, from the organizations to solve these issues. So there is not such focus on solving these issues. So where are good quality seeds? So where are good quality equipments? Why not all the small farmers, they should be clubbed together and they should be given equipments to use on the collective basis? Why we don't have a good facility for storage? Why irrigation facility is not looked into? So these are the main problems that our farmers are facing.
Yep. So when we talk about all those things, like we know about farmers, because everybody within the world, if we don't talk about only just India or the Punjab, if we talk about all over the world, everybody needs the food, and we know the farmers are the main source to get us to provide us the food. And if they have lack of all those things, they don't have enough resources or the seeds as we talk about. And if they don't get all those things, how will be they will be able to serve us with those quality foods and all those things if they don't have all those things. So that will intentionally, by time it will go, the productivity will go low. Of course, if you don't have all the resources, you can pull yourself for a while, you can struggle for those things. But if you put something, you put your efforts, put your money and all those things, and then at the end, if you don't get out of those the correct amount out of those the field which you get, in that case you will end up not getting into those resources again. You will give up on those things, like, and then you will be like, what the next resource I can have? Then productivity will go low. The Dutch farmers, if you see in the slide, they grow 20 times much more tomatoes on a hectare of a land on average than Indian farmer does. Like they have all those. If you talk about the same land on different, if you talk about the Dutch or Kuwait or Chinese, they have same numbers of land, and if they grow the same seeds, they get more productivity rather than in India what our farmers are doing. So they need the resources, they need the basic amenities and all those things to get all those things to their level.
No, absolutely. So if we see why prices are so high in India, because we do not have that kind of equipment, good seeds, these are the major issues. That's why other countries, they have very low prices for the same product, that prices are very high in India. So that's why we cannot export. So if we say, oh, our product, we have so much wheat, we have so much rice, we have so much sugar cane, why we are not exporting? So here we are seeing that per hectare, how many kgs of crop, how many kilos of crop is being produced. So if we talk about onion, it is around 73,000 kg of crop is being produced per hectare in Guyana. Or if we talk about United States, around 62,000 kgs of onions is produced in on 1 hectare. But if we talk about India, it's only 16,000. So three times less. So if we have good equipment, good seed, good irrigation system, our production can increase, so that our we can increase three times more production of onion. If we see about potato, it's kind of the same thing. So Kuwait, it has 62,000 kgs per hectare, but we have only 22,000 kgs per hectare. Kuwait, that is also a developing country. It is not a developed country. If those countries can do that, our governments can learn from those. We can coordinate or collaborate with them. Oh, what you are doing special, or what do you are doing extra, so that we can increase our production. If we talk about tomato, there is a huge difference. So 500,000, that is around 5 lakh kgs per hectare, Netherlands is producing. How much we are producing? India is only producing 24,000 kgs per hectare. So why so much a huge difference? We have the information, we know it's in front of us. Why are not we looking into those issues, how we can solve those? If we talk about wheat, France, they produces around 7,000 kgs per hectare. India produces 3,000 kgs per hectare. Now rice, which is a prominent crop in all of our states. So China, they produce around 7,000 kgs per hectare. We are producing 2,600 kgs per hectare. So China, it's our neighboring country. We always can share information with them, get information with them. It's also a country where kind of the same soil or with the same population, we can always learn from them. Pulses 1900 kgs per hectare that is being produced in Canada. We are only producing 700 kgs per hectare. So these are the things our governments, our local officials, they have to look into, universities have to look into. So there has to be information sharing.
Exactly. So yeah, as you said, like we know the numbers, we know the things why they can grow and why they are growing. They already did it, so we just have to learn from them. That's a very good point. Like we don't have to do something new to try it on. We can just communicate and we can just get to them and get some communication. Okay, fine. If you are doing this and if you are producing so big numbers in the same number of same land, there is something which we are not doing. And main thing which comes in the picture is like we are not getting our farmers getting educated or not letting them know what they can do, how they can do, and what are the things which they can follow up to make the produce go higher. Because if they are doing the same now, the land, if you talk about it, which we talked about last time, the land is same, the only the difference is the produce, and that is like huge number. If you talk about it an average 3 times for everything, like is an average, they are more than that. But the thing is, we we should have the universities or colleges or institutes, something like that, which can go out, reach out to the farmers, and they can let them know what you can grow, how can you produce more. And it's not like only you can grow, and how you can irritate how you can put the water and all those, how what seeds and all those fertilizers you need. And after that, say you done with one crop, one season, what next you can do? You can either you can leave the land for a while, or either you can do something which can give you more produce. So that kind of education level is not there into the, because if you talk about farmers, they are more in villages and they don't have that much luxuries or that much effort. They don't come out of the villages to make those things, learn and all those things. In that case, government has to take some initiatives to get into those villages, to reach out to them and get some sessions or like classes. Or if they cannot reach out, they have to communicate by, they can keep some societies in the villages which can let those farmers know how they can grow up and all those things. And in that case, they don't have to come out of the villages. They should have some institutes or some peoples they get employed on, say district level or village level, whatever they can do it on, so that farmers can learn all those things and they can produce more and get the higher prices for the crops.
Yeah, no, now we talk about MSP. We always hear this term, what MSP is. That is minimum support price.
Yeah.
So here we can see the red line, that is the MSP. So that MSP is determined by the government just to see how much a farmer has spent to produce the crop and how much incentive or how much above that he should get to keep himself sustained. So MSP should always be there. So if the crop gets damaged or nobody picks up the crop of a farmer is always in debt. They grow by taking debt, they produce their, get the fertilizer, get the seeds for 6 months to a year, they nurture their crop. So then the crop has to be picked. If the crop goes into the mandi system or nobody picks their crop, so where they can sell their crops, there is no such viable option. So the government should support them. As we have already talked, that almost half of India's population that depends on farming. So there has to be a main focus. If you are farming a crop, you are producing a crop, your crop will be picked on a minimum support price. So here we can see the black line, that is international price. The green line, that is the domestic price.
Yep.
So majority of the times we see that the domestic price that is more than the MSP, and the international price that is lower than the MSP. So internationally we cannot export our product because here the prices are high. So in India prices are that much, so there is a variation. So minimum support price for the harvest, so who cannot sell abroad because it would push the domestic prices even up. So we have to make sure that there should be a minimum support price for every product. The government should support them so that farmers can diversify. So now only wheat and only rice. So if we only talk about the small section of Punjab, only these two crops are being produced at a heavy pace because no other crop is being picked. If farmer produces another crop, he goes to sell it, nobody will buy them. So there has to be a mechanism. We,
Exactly.
the governments or everybody say, oh, the crops has to be diversified. The water table is getting low. Why every farmer is producing wheat and why every farmer is producing rice? Because those are the only crops that the government or the farmers can sell. So there has to be a thought behind it. There should be a minimum support price for the crops that should be helping towards diversification.
So yeah, so if you continue on those, like as you talk about MSP, so we know that, okay, fine, whenever the farmers grow their crops, irrespective of what crop they are going to grow in their field, they grow with some expenses. They have to put all those expenses crop at the end of, like, depend upon the which crop they have, 2 months, 4 months, 6 months. It depends upon all those things. They put some money, they put the efforts, and all those things comes into an end with some price, and that should be calculated based on those things, that how much a farmer is spending on those particular crop and how much they should get out of those. Like, if it should not be the case that they are, say, putting $100 on the field to get the crop at the end of the 6 months, and they are getting the MSP. Like, they put the MSP again. There's one more issue on that, but like, they put the MSP, say we will get the crop from you on $120. You spend $100, but you will get it for the $120. We set the MSP, but what happens is, like, even if the MSP is set, they don't get that. There is no such rules, which we talked about. Like, there is no such rules. Even the MSP is set, the farmer is going to get that price. They are always getting lower prices. Even if they, as I talk, say they are spending $100, they get either 60 or 70 or at the max $80. So they are not even getting the max out of the price, whatever they are spending on those farmers. On the farms, they are getting lower, and that's what that MSP should be. They were struggling when we talked about the farmer loss. That's what one of the point they were struggling. Like, even if you set up the MSP, you should confirm us, okay, fine, if you are setting some MSP, you are going to get on that price. There should be some confirmation on that part. Okay, fine, if you are setting it up, it's already getting set up, but we are not getting that price when we go to the mandis and all those things. Yeah, Gutej.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So now if we talk about the major issue that we all face, that is the farmer suicide. So
Yeah.
even 1% of our people in India, they are farming, they are struggling with this issue. So they do not have the major big land holdings. So if marginal farmers who are large farmers, if we talk about percentage wise, 2.3% of large farmers, they commit suicide. Marginal farmers which only have smaller to marginal land holdings, 25% of them, they commit suicide. Medium farmers, 27% commit to, and small farmers, which is in majority, there are 44% of the small farmers who commit suicide. So we have to think about it. So our governments, our system, that is lacking somewhere. Half of our country's population, which is dependent on farming, after so many years of independence of India, why there is no focus on that issue? Why still today in 21st century, where we are talking about such innovation, such technology, still our basic needs are being not met? Our farmers, our families, our brothers, sisters, they are committing suicide. There are bankruptcies. 39% of farmers they do the bankruptcies. So farmer related issues, they are around 20%. Family problems are there, around 11% have some family issues. They cannot educate their children because we do not have a healthcare system. If somebody
Exactly.
gets sick, the farmers, where they will be getting the money? The illness is there. So if they are not getting that money, they have to sell their farm, or they have to take more debt from the authorities. That will push them towards the suicide or end their own lives. This is not good, but this is happening. This is the fact. So our governments, we as the responsible citizens, it is our responsibility to see into it. So think through it. Drug abuse is there. 4% of our farming community that is involved in this, or that is facing this issue. Poverty is there. 2% are very poor, and there are other issues too. If we talk about how many males commit suicide with respect to the female, it's not only males are committing, everybody is being engulfed with this issue. Around 5,000 males, they commit suicide, they committed in 1 year, and around 500 females, so who belong to the farming families, they also did commit suicide. So this is not an issue that is with respect to a small farmer, big. Everybody is facing this issue. So we have to brainstorm. We have to think with our universities. We have good agricultural universities, good intellectuals who are into this agriculture field. Our government should sit down with them, should find solution of these issues, rather than just pushing a bill, just saying, oh, these are the three solutions. But have you talked with those farmers? So were they convinced? Was their input taken? So why we are talking about this? This is not an issue that is going to end. After a couple of years, these kinds of issues will come again. So we have to sit down with our authorities. We have to tell them, okay, these are the facts. What are you doing based on these facts?
Exactly. So yeah, as we talk about all those things, we come to those things again. We know it. Everybody knows that we don't have to educate everybody on the three farming bills, which we spend more than a year sitting on the roads on the Delhi to get them back. And as we talked before again, like the government didn't even talk to the farmers, like what are the bills they're going to be. They didn't have so much intelligent, I can say, intelligencies. The in the government who can the ministers are not that educated who can talk about in reference to the farmers, or to find if you're going to push those bills, they can help them or they can get the conditions worse to worse on those things. But independent, like irrespective of that, still they get those bills, they get into the assembly and they get it passed within a day without even getting any confirmation and all those. Like they just talk verbally and they got passed, and because they know if they want to talk about, they get into the longer term, they are not going to be in picture for those. Like they are not going to pass in the assembly with all the agreement. They know they are doing something wrong. That's the reason they just got into the assembly. They talked about on those bills for a few hours, and that those got passed just verbally. And those are the bills which we have in front of us. We can talk about as many as hours we can spend. We know all those things. They are all going to lead us into the bad shape of the farming. The farmers are going to get worse and worse if those get imposed to us. But glad we didn't have those for now. And as Gurtej said before, that it's not like if we don't have those now, you never know what's next and what next government can do. Everybody talks about all those things, and if there isn't a picture, they all know that if those can help not the farmers but the corporates, the government was trying to help the corporates, not the farmers. And that's, if you see all those things, as I'm saying, they did that to impose them on the farmers. But at the end, they got their mistake. They apologized for those and they took the bill back. And finally, we are not in that shape. But I don't know how long we can be on the shape.
Yeah, no, thank you, Harpreet. So the bills are repealed now. Everybody knows what those bills were. But the main issue is the problems which our farmers are facing. Why our farmers are committing suicide? Why our farmers' livelihood is not being improved? So
Yep.
everybody has to provide schooling to their children. They are not able to provide good schooling for their children because they do not have that much of a money. They produce their crop, nobody is there to pick up their crop. So why there is
Exactly.
no good system good mandi system that is happening in one part of our country, like in Punjab has a good mandi system. Why cannot we have it across the country, or find some other solutions, just
Yeah,
implement those? So why our farmers are taking that much of a debt? So there is no health insurance for them if somebody fell sick. So what about that? If there is a rain, their crop gets damaged, so where is the insurance? So
yeah,
there is no minimum support price. They work all year around to produce a crop. They take it to the mandis, so nobody is there to pick their crop. If it
for the
rains,
correct
the
price.
whole crop gets damaged. So
Yeah,
these are the main issues. The seed is the issue, the fertilizer is the issue, the land holding, their equipment is the issue.
yeah,
So these are the main focal points. The irrigation is the issue where government, our universities, everybody, including us. So we are coming, all are coming from the farming families. We all have to talk about this again and again,
exactly.
brainstorm each and every problem. We sit there, we talk about, oh, there is a drug abuse, some farmer are committing suicide, but I can be next, or anybody could be next. So we have to
Exactly.
think about it. We have to talk about and find the solutions before these governments again come up with some kinds of law, some kinds of regulations. We have to work with them. So we have to talk with them. We have to talk about these issues again and again so that these can be solved. Harpreet, your thoughts?
Yeah, so as we said, like we are talking about the farmers, and nobody is going to talk to them what the basic needs are. If you want to really resolve their issues, you have to be in the fields. You have to talk to the person who is really doing it. It's not like if you, we all know that there is difference between theory and the practical. If you talk about something which is written in a book, and if you go in the practical, that is difference. And in that case, this is the have to be on those fields. You have to their actual problems, and then you have to know how you can resolve all those things. In just by saying on the assemblies and all those things, getting the bill passed is not going to help anybody. And when we talk about the farmers, they are contributing. They are letting us all getting the food, the basic thing which we need to survive. And if we are not caring about them, we are not caring about ourselves. And I don't know where we are going to land up on those things.
No, thank you very much, Harpreet, and thank you very much for our listeners to listen to this topic. So we all have to be informed, keep on talking about these problems again and again so that we somehow find the solution of these problems, so that we are not falling into the same situation again where we were a year ago. More than 700 lives have lost, so many lives were impacted by this. So we have to talk about this again and again. The main problems what we are facing: we do not have good seeds, we do not have good equipment, we are small farmers, those has to be focused. We don't have
Yeah,
minimum support price, there is no adequate facility to store our product, and we do not have good irrigation system. So everybody has to be coming together and think about this, how we can solve or even get closer to resolve this kind of situation. With that said, I thank each and everyone for listening. We will be coming again with a new topic next week. Till then, stay healthy, stay blessed.
yes,
Thank you.